Alright, we are live nationwide. And we are going to try and do the second part of our doing the events here, the free roam events.
Bonjour,
That's where we
patron.
have to be. Alright, we're half done here. What else do we need to do here? So welcome. Alright, we got sound. We're live. Sound, video. Alright. So yes, our Yoda is ready. Fur face here is just staring at me thinking, don't be paying any attention to that baby Yoda. But watch, if we do this, let's see how long it takes before that cat's up here. Let's just see. He dislikes that the baby Yoda gets more attention than he does, so sometimes he has to come up. There he is, of course. Hello, weirdo. Hello. He says, look at me. Do not look at that ugly little green thing. Look at me. I'm the pretty. I'm the one you should be paying attention to.
By the way,
Oh, you're funny,
I
sugar
see we
bear.
have
You are
some
hilarious.
fresh customers.
So let's look and see what we've got for our moonshiner. We have to sell one more, but let's see what else. Oh, we gotta go dance. Let's do that. Dancing for a couple minutes. We'll wait until that,
Patron.
because we've got the other free room event we have to finish to get our gold. And we're on point 2. It's a point 2 day, so we're okay. Did I play with the band? Let's look at that again.
You're just trying to impress
Good
those
memory.
low
Sure.
downs, ain't you?
Yeah. So it's dancing. All right. So we just get the piano going, and then we can dance.
Well, thank you. Time for a show.
Dance, wherever you may be. I'm the lord of the dance city. All right, time to dance. All right, here we go. Dance time.
Y'all like this
All
one?
right, we don't
We
need
sure
to
do.
just jig, but let's go with a cheerful dance. All right, sugar, you're quite company now. No one's looking at that ugly little green thing that says it's all good. I won't mess with your cards. But don't be petting that hideous little Yoda, baby Yoda, Grogu, whatever. There'll be no more of that. Yeah. Or I won't come and purr. I won't be able to purr anymore. Alright, so we are going to finish our dance here. I sure wish you could do this dancing thing without it. I guess you can do it without. I was going to say don't do it without anyone. But it's a two-handed operation for sure. So eventually we'll get this all figured out. We have timers, so I'm pretty sure I can figure this out. That's the beauty. I love me some technology, so we've got half of our dance to 2 minutes done. And today I'm just going for as much gold as I can. It's more of a cat attitude, I guess. Alright, so we keep building up, we get ourselves to 4 viewers, and then I have to disconnect. So I know that the longer I stay on, the better. It really is better to stay on. We should always be done, I think.
Come on, relax. Live a little.
There we go, she's done. 228888. I love matching numbers. I love when things are double letters, double numbers. Alright, let's take some of this before we go. We did this, yeah, let's get some of that. So, and then we gotta see what we have to get for what you call it. I like the changes so far. I've got to say, I like that they're not in red. They've done a really good job of it. yes, I know it probably shut down a lot of things that people could use, but right now I'm not using so many things that I need to connect with a bunch of. So I think that's probably why they did it. But what I'm really curious about is whether or not it uses up less memory. That's about it. So I will probably try.
There are some
see if I
kinds
can-
of civilization
still
you
in
need to
house.
leave the city to find, no?
What we want to do is go and see what we're doing for the naturalist today. So we have still to photograph legendaries. We're not going to do any of those. It's just moonshine. We'll do that one later. Arrowheads found and collectible soul tomato. Let's deal with this. Let's go and donate deadly carcasses. So that means taking camp and moving it to the bayou. It does indeed. We can fast travel to camp, and then we can go and take some samples of, the alligators. But you know what we could do? Since we're right here, let's go first and fast travel to, let's see if LeGras a lot more, but it's right beside it, so it's just worth it to do it. Fast travel to LeGras. It's the $8 instead of $1 for camp, but oh, can you tell that I'm getting lazy with this? So welcome. Good to see you. Who do we have? Let's see. There we go. Welcome. We are doing 3-card readings for anyone who might be interested. It's the Sacred Stone Circle Oracle that we're using. It's a nice deck. I didn't do a lot of reading with it. It has nothing attached to it for... And I also smudge all my cards. I smudge them regularly because you don't want to be stuck in someone else's karma.
Oh, why don't you stop for a minute?
I don't think that's a thing. But sometimes there can be
Little luxuries.
residual energy any place.
Anyway,
So I don't like to take a chance. Let's sell some of these.
you've been
Well,
carrying
she's not
yourself
spraying
well
us
out
today.
there.
That's always
Word
a bonus.
travels fast. Explore,
So we want to see
examine.
if there's
Lots to
alligators.
look at
We get
here.
rid of a few more.
All
'cause
right,
those
let's
are the
see
really
what you
easy
have
ones
for
to
me.
get on here. I think I've sold most of them off, so we should be okay. All right, so back up to the alligators. You know what? We have to sell that. We'll have to get some alligator samples, anyways. I think, or was it? What was the samples we had to get? Let's make sure before we do it. No, we didn't need this. We needed it for the predators. We need to get predatory, so don't worry about that. Let's just sell. I think we have to sell one more.
A
to get
trade?
this, so
What do
let's
you
go
propose?
nice. Why not? Is that going to do it?
I can't wait to get these scales under a microscope.
What are we doing then for Harriet? Did we already get it? Let's go look. So we weren't selling anything to her, so that was a waste. Okay, but what we were gonna do is come here and shoot some alligators. That's what we had planned, but we're gonna buy this first because this is a problem sometimes. So if you really wanted to go and do your dailies for your naturalist, just go into a legendary mission.
I think
Go
that
and
would
get
be
one of the
perfect for you.
legendaries. That's the easiest way to do it. Oh, Furface, you found yourself quite a comfy little spot there, haven't you? Alright, so we're going to go and get
That's that,
ourselves
then.
3 alligators.
Travel safe.
And camp is over there, so maybe we should head towards camp. Oh, we got to do a resupply as well, so we might as well head to camp first. If we see any alligators on the way, we'll bring them with us. Anything here? Not that I can see. Don't have to just be alligators. It can be bears too. And these guys here, if you're running the Moonshiner and you're looking and they say that you need a specific recipe, this right here could be where you're going. I don't see these guys close by, but this camp and it looks like this, and you got two guys sitting in the camp, they are almost always your poison poppy recipe that you get as a reward in a chest there, or taking them out. So, but we are looking for. Let's stop here and get ourselves a little bit of vanilla bean. Every time I hear vanilla bean, I think of coffee. So here we go. Sometimes it'd just be better to get right off and just do this. I'm so like, I can get there, I can do it, And it won't let you, make you do everything else, jump, leap, turn circles. Oh man, just get off and go get it, for crying out loud. Now your horse is going to stand right in front, so that's okay. Really, I'm right in front of it. Now my horse is too much in front of it. It wouldn't let my horse pick it, so how come my horse is right in front of it and it wouldn't let me pick it? But man, this just drives me right nuts. This drives me nuts. What they do with these is just ridiculous. It means we have to waste time doing this, and that means we're in the game longer. And there does come a moment when you do this sort of shit that people won't put up with it, when it's really hard to finesse stuff. They'll just complain or quit playing the game, because if it's that awkward to try and do things. So it's kind of a shoot themselves in the foot sort of moment if they're not careful what they gain by people playing the hours. I'm going to go take a look. I don't know, it's not pleasant to waste time. I don't like, I'm going to call it sloppy programming, because what it means is we won't make things accurate so that you have to play in the game longer, because we're not being careful enough where the locations are. All it is in the programming is the area that you allow for them to see that pop up, and they've just made it too small, ridiculously too small. So people might wonder why I get upset, because I used to program as well, so I understand when they're doing that, it's sloppy programming. My theory. I don't know any of the programmers there. I don't know what their styles or structures are, but you know what? Opinions are worth what to pay for them, and you're not paying me nothing, so they're not worth anything to you. And neither is anyone else's, so unless you go and pay for it and you've committed to it, don't take other people's opinion as gospel. I'm going to go see if I can find those alligators, though, because I have a funny feeling. Not one over, there we go. Over here, closer to the water, we'll find some of them. Let's see, I'm still not seeing any. That's one of the things that I find sad, is that whenever one of these days we have to go find an alligator, you can't find one. And I used to think that it was just accidental, but then I realized the minute I shot my third alligator and turned it in, 1,000 alligators appear everywhere. So they really do restrict it until you hit the magic 3 number turned in, and then all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Annoying. What's that? Is that some more? Let's go and see if we can do this little fiasco too. You see how that tree's there? So theoretically, now watch this. I want my horse straight forward. So that should appear. Now you see what the horse did? I didn't move the horse there. The horse is still right in front of it. So they move you so you can't get near it. Their programming is what creates that. Now, this is fine. They're hard enough to see. I've pointed out to people where they are, and they say they've never seen it in the game. So I know that people can't really see it easily. So stuff like that, I don't find that making the game better. I find it, stuff like that is just low-hanging fruit. Let's call it that. Low-hanging fruit. I get it when, these panthers and everything else, they're hard to kill, and they eat my face, and I don't complain about that. I hate them, but I don't complain about the game in them. It's crappy little things like that I'll complain in the game about, or how your horse, okay, say I'm riding along here, and I take this, I go up here, and all of a sudden, bam, I get pulled over there for no good reason, hit the tree, and I'm dead. Alright, I look, and I say, what? Is my horse okay? Yeah, my horse has full, he's not in the, I don't have any gold, but he's full. The only time you should be making those sorts of mistakes is if your horse is on empty, right? And then it makes perfect sense. Your horse is stumbling about with you sitting on one because you haven't fed him. But I just think whatever trigger they have for your horse pulling you into things is geared a lot more to trying to piss you off than it is to anything else. Right? This shouldn't take 30 seconds. It should take here, bam, I got here, this, just like this, all the time. You know, but sometimes your horse can't do it because you have a gun, so that makes you put the gun away. And then once you put the gun away, it doesn't necessarily always pop back up. Sometimes the horse moves. There's stuff like that. I know I'm being complaining, but imagine a world where Rockstar would actually listen to the feedback people gave, you know. But I think the only feedback that they listen to is how many did they sell? That's all. That's it. How many do we sell? That's our quarterly, and that's the only thing that really rules it. And that's commerce, but you know what? Capitalism hasn't always ruled the world. You know? One day, we're going to be sitting here looking back, talking about the evils of capitalism, and people are going to understand what happened and how we got to where we're at. Again, that's political, but it's also social political, so less than directly targeting any specific group. It's more philosophy than it is politics. Because I think that capitalism is a philosophy rather than a political. Because I think, like, we try to say we have capitalism as well as a democracy, but I honestly think that they're not compatible. Right? Socialism and democracy are compatible, but I'm not sure that capitalism and democracy are compatible. If they say that everybody can make their million, but then they make the mark where everybody has to make their million to survive in the world, that's not capitalism anymore. That's what is it called? An egalitarian society, where you have the rich and then you have the poor or the slaves. That's an egalitarian society, and once people aren't making enough money to keep themselves healthy and happy emotionally, you're no longer in a capitalist or in a democracy, because they aren't being given the power to vote things away that are harming them. And at this point, I think what we could say is democracy isn't really viable anymore. Once you hit a population, a critical mass population where the minority pose is a significant threat to the majority, you're no longer in a democracy. That was told to us back in social studies when I was 15, so that was over 40 years ago. Right? So we've known about this. This isn't new stuff. This isn't controversial stuff. This is real stuff that they told us about, and we knew would happen. And if you watch in history, you know, any group of people that have amassed cities, because all rich depend on taxes or slavery to maintain their wealth, are bound to fall. Because what do you have? You have a large group of people that can rise up. This is how the Israelites end up leaving captivity or slavery, is because during a famine, and you know, people turn on their kings pretty fast in a famine, and I think that China and the United States will have to pay close attention to that, because in a famine, they bring down their king. And they don't just do it, as you might notice from the French Revolution, they don't do it by having a vote and talking about it calmly. They come out with their pitchforks, and they pose a significant threat. And it doesn't matter how many, that's why they're developing AI right now, as far as I'm concerned. If you go up there, Sugar Bear, you're going to be in trouble. You know what happens. Big troubles for the kitty cat. We don't go up there. Alright, so we're trying to find an alligator. There's not a one to be found in this whole freaking swamp. See what I mean? This isn't being protected. Usually this flower here, this cardinal, there'd be like at least one, you know, alligator there, but no, they aren't even taking the chance that you get that one. I don't mind. I'm going to just keep playing the game and enjoying myself. about, I don't always try and do the things they want me to do. I try and get the gold. That always works. But we need to find, and we're going to do better, I think, finding wolves up in the, let's do that. Let's travel up to, usually it's easy picking with these. Take one more look around here, but no, there isn't even an inkling of one. Usually in here they'd be growling at you and snarling at you from every which way. Nothing, no. Alright, so we're going to go up and look in maybe in the grizzly area. So to do that, I think we have to go up here to Wapiti. So, yeah, I'm going to try and get everything set up on timers here so that it can run, it can put things in the channel that people would be interested in. But yeah, stick with us, we'll get there. I like this stuff. And what do they say? If you build it, they will come. Who's up there? Who's wandering around up there? What's going on? Who is in a camp? Oh, that's somebody's camp. Okay. I won't mess with their camp. Sometimes people like to go and mess with other people's crypts. I don't like that. I don't like bothering people because I don't like being bothered. If I could, I would come and put his tent up, or his flag up, so people couldn't come in. Alright, so we're going to ride along here, and usually what happens, I'm going to put a point. I know what else I can do. I'm going to move my camp. Oops, I'm going to move my camp to the Roman Bridge. So this way we're just going to ride in the back and, you know, just try and do this on a regular day without having wolves come after you. Right? So we're going to try this. We're going to put our waypoint on there. Not there, but... we're going to put it over there. Oh, we're right by my camp. I got my camp back. Oh, celebration time. And look at Madam is over there too. So it's bonus all the way around. So should we just, no, we're not going to fast travel there because what we want to do is encounter the nasty little wolves on the way. Hey, Nightbot. Nice to see you. So we have our, let's put in a new poll. Let's see how many answers we'll get here. Is RDR2 online getting too monetized? There's the question. So we've got a legitimate yes, no. Let's see what y'all have to say. It doesn't let me vote, which I find a little bit sad. But I guess that wouldn't be fair. It's a bit biased. Whoever's asking the question probably already has a bias. Fair enough. Fair enough. I'm just waiting for Kiva to come in and say, what? What? Yoda, you hit a tree every time you go out. And I maybe do. Maybe I do. I like my shortcuts, though. Oh, she doesn't like to pass, yeah. Oh, so when she's in the wagon, she can't. My bad. Go, pony. My little gremlin, you. Hit the tree. See, I didn't have to be there to hit a tree. I have it on autopilot and it still hits a tree. So, Kiva, it's the trees that are at fault, not me. Blame it on the trees. When I worked in telecom, we like to, you know, when things wouldn't connect or the internet was going wonky, we just said, you know, well, there were some, you know, solar flares and weird shit happens, and I thought that was a joke. I thought it was just kidding, but recently we've had, and in the past they've had, in the past, when I say in the past, in the 1800s, just at the time that they had developed, it was just in the very beginning of power being used in the telegraph and that sort of thing, they had a solar flare that melted everything. And it wasn't like there was an infrastructure. We weren't built on infrastructure yet at the time, but sure enough, can you imagine if we had solar flares of that nature now? What it would do to everything? I mean, it's not even conceivable because we are so dependent, so very dependent. So what works really good here is I've got my PS4 Pro running into a video capture, and the station that I'm using doesn't even have, I think it's got no, maybe, I'd have to go and look at the system, but I think it's less, it's not 8 megs, or 8 gigs, sorry, 8 megs of RAM. So the PS4 Pro does its own thing. The video capture uses a little bit of the RAM, but it doesn't have to process the game at all, so it makes it a little easier, so I get, you know, a little better. I'm nicely up to 75, it's not perfect, it's still 75% of the CPU usage, but I'm getting my 60 frames per second, so I'm going, yes! And I figure by Christmas time, I might be ready to get like a real kick-ass system that's like 32 gigs of RAM with a nice, at least 16 gig card in it, and it would cost dearly, but I don't look at that right now, because I'm thinking either we're at war by December, or we'll have a pandemic, or something. So if that's the only thing that I can do to keep my mind off of, it's the end of the world and we know it, that sort of thing. If I can keep my mind away from there, I think all's good, right? Let's put those cards back up. They're lovely cards. Like, they're really bright. They're really, really bright. Can't say anything bad about them, but they are big. You know who I'd say this is good for is the New Age man who isn't afraid to look at an oracle deck, who isn't afraid to trust his intuition. So it's really, my theory is, as time progresses and the population rises, my theory is that there will be less and less man, woman, and a whole lot more androgyny, because once you have a civilization that's overpopulated, if there is any sort of strange control over the world that it, you know, brings out, you know how people say, what's here, what are we looking at? Camps over there, and we didn't see one wolf. Now just think about that. When historically could you run from Wapiti all the way here without there being a single wolf? This isn't my campsite, by the way. This makes me very sad. It's not this campsite that I wanted, but it's good enough. There's the waterfalls over there. She's pretty still. So what are we waiting for? There's got to be something that's coming up here. So if we go and take a look, which we can do, we have the technology. We can go here. Whoops, wrong one. There we go. A little skip over. All right, so here is our, if it loads, it was here earlier. Do I have to go back and reload that screen? Probably. All right, if we go here and then we go back, there it is. All right, so let's go and full screen this and we'll take a look and see what's coming up next. All right, so the Condor egg starts in 7 minutes, so this is our map. This is the Gene Ropke map, but if you're looking for it online, it's called the Collector's Map, and it shows where all the locations of all the collections, all the free roam events, everything. Now it doesn't tell you, like for the coins, it doesn't tell you specifically where each coin is, but you see this random coin, and then we have, like, these tell you the actual page of swords, so every one of these cards tells you where each card is. But the eggs are all good, but when you get to the fossils, you're on random fossils, and arrowheads, it's a random arrowhead. It used to be, these ones though, it will go with boxwood comb, the lost jewelry, and that sort of thing. The necklace shows you exactly which one. So it's easier if you're going for sets to go for your lost jewelry, your family heirlooms. Your flowers are all marked. You have to be conscious only of, see down here, your blood flower. Your blood flower, it tells you it runs from 10 to 5. But if you happen to be looking for, say, a specific legendary animal, just go in here, look for the legendary, and you can either go show all, you can hide them all, and then you can selectively, like say you want the sun gator, you put the sun gator on. If I close this, it'll show he's right in that area there. So, and it tells you if there's anything, all these little things, not that, but say this red dot, that's showing where the actual spot that you'll see him spawn. So if you're way down here, you probably won't see him spawn. So you go to those spots and you'll actually be spawning there. So, and they also show what's coming up. So if I want the condor egg because I want to attend, there's a really fast one, because usually these guys who are really good at this condor egg, they show up like almost immediately. So we'll go back here and we'll wait out for that to start. Probably smart for me to go and take this moment to get my health or anything that I have to cook up here. Make sure we're good cooking along. Oh, we did that done too, so let's do that. Just hit you with an order because we don't have any resupply in our daily today. That has to be done. Let's collect in case we need any ammo from here. So how you doing, Kiva? That's exactly what I think too, is that bottom line Rockstar pretty much has shown us that they're about the money. I don't think that when they first made Red Dead Redemption, that the creator of Red Dead Redemption was like that. I think that yeah, but it's a good topic, and I think that, you know, unfortunately the only people who matter aren't listening, because no employee and no person who puts this out is ever going to go and listen to the random ramblings of streamers to figure out what their profit margin is going to be. But another thing to be said about that, if they don't listen to their players one day, the people who keep them in their money are just going someplace else. Like once Harry Potter and Frontiers of Pandora come out, I don't think I'll be playing Red Dead Redemption ever again. So they're kind of they've got a bit of a market right now because people don't really have a lot of huge choices. Like I like Strays though, and I'm going to wait after this last one. I'm going to be able to do a little bit of that. But yeah, I want something that's interesting. We don't have that much of an attention span that they can keep an old game running without doing something to it. Humans need that constant. You know what I mean? Let's clean this before we go in there. Oh, it doesn't need it. How does it not need it when it's got that much damage? I don't know. I don't care. Alright, what do we have over there? This would have been a moment where I would have gone doing some dynamite fishing, but I've already fixed. You know what I should do? I should go in here. I'm not hearing any buzz at all. I don't see any glow. But every once in a while there is, over here, no, it's not there. Okay. Alright, back to camp we go. Alright, camp we go. And we will keep trying to move that camp and getting it where we like it, but not until after we do this next free roam mission that's coming up. Didn't hit yet, no. How long do we have to go? Let's go back to here. How long are we having to wait for this now? Okay, so I get it. I have to pop back in there every time. So it's going to take whatever I put on the screen as being... There we go. So if I go back, it should be there. Here it is. Alright, so it is giving us 2 minutes before it gets here. So 2-minute countdown. There we go. Back to our RDR2. I do have trouble in, naming this, whether I call it Red Dead Redemption 2 Online or whether I call it Red Dead Online. Has anyone verified what is the name of this actual game? Is it Red Dead 2, or is it Red Dead Online, or is it Red Dead Redemption 2 Online? Because I know they do shortcut it on like for the PC, they just call it Red Dead Online PC. Hello there. which quote, try to hide it all you want. I know you're with the Thieves Guild, so the others, and so does the other guards. Oh, that's awesome. That's a pretty good quote. That is a pretty good quote. Alright, we should almost be ready to start this. I do have my arrows, but I won't need them in my... This is going to be... I like this because it's fast. Look at the search for the... I have gotten lucky so rarely, like twice I've found this. But some of them come in and they find it like in 10 seconds because they always know it's either this spot, this spot. I don't play it often enough or do this often enough to know where it is, this random... What's it called? We got another 30 seconds. Oh, I should health up, but... I never know when you go into a free roam event if taking anything for health helps, because they seem to start us out... There's Condoregas. They seem to start us all out at the same place. Do you know what I mean? Nobody should have an advantage, but... I mean, what's the point of that? There's lots of advantage if you have... dynamite, you have an advantage, right? I like that quote though. That's sweet. You'll have to think up some for the Harry Potter legacy and for the Frontiers of Pandora, because the movie's going to come out in for Christmas. And then, like in February, Harry Potter's there, and I think we're going to be like March or April. I don't think that they're going to... I don't think that they'll be... I think they'll be smarter. Let's see, come on. This was just to get one of the dailies. This is worth .2 just to show up in here, and these guys will know.
I'd like to invite you all here. Thank you very much for coming. I've got a little event called the Condor Egg here. If everybody's ready, we will exceed probably, I don't know, maybe to the south, maybe to the east, maybe to the west. But who's going to get it? Could never know who it's going to be.
He's going up there, but I'm going to take this spot up here and see if I can get in there any easier. Because it's going to be one of these, right? Something like this, or they don't have any water. Usually it's down by the water when you're by the creeks, but I'm surprised somebody hasn't found it already. Because like, it's usually that fast, and then all of a sudden, bam, it's over. So it could be down here. I don't have any way to get down there other than falling on my head, and that's always fun.
That ain't it.
See, can you do it? Jump! Ah!
Dang it.
See, sometimes you can jump without dying.
Yo, I got that shit, bro.
That was good. Alright, we're done.
Holy shit, bro.
That's how fast if you want to do a
Oh, awesome.
God damn,
Good
bro.
job. Good
Thank you,
job,
bro.
man. Good job. I love it. $1,000, man. Awesome.
Thank you, bro.
Oh, sorry, I couldn't hear
That
it.
is fucking awesome.
I couldn't hear it. I had it off.
I've done it once, and that feeling is great. It's like winning the lottery.
I found that shit so quick, bro.
Have a good one, brother.
Condor event, easy peasy. You win $1,000, not 1,000. You win an egg, and you take it to Madam, and she gives you $1,000 for it. And I've done it twice. But I'll tell you, if you're going to be trying to make all your money on it, you're not going to do so good. In 2 years, I've won it twice. So I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying that it takes a lot of practice, and I don't put much effort into it. Yeah, it is. It's really quick, right? And that's the longest I've ever seen it take. Sometimes it's 10 seconds after you get in, it's right on the water, and they find it instant. So easy event to do. And it's a pretty good, pocketing $1,000 isn't a bad thing, especially when you're starting out. And I've gone in there and there's no one in it except 2 people before. Yeah, $1,000 that condor egg if you trade it in. And most people don't join it because Well, it's because it's the collector roll. Alright, so what do we got here? We're heading back to the Moonshine Shack. We'll do that. Fast travel. Here we go. These Yeti mugs are so freaking awesome. Like, okay, honestly, this is the same coffee that I had from my stream like 2 hours ago. And it's still hot. It's warm. Let me put it that way. It was warm, but it was hot like for a long time. But once there's not much left in there, it doesn't take very long to cool. But I love them. The Yeti mugs and the ice ones. Like I've got this one that I use for this is my ice water. It's a great big 30 ounce. Awesome. And you can put, it's got a magnetic lid on the top that can keep it from anything getting out, but I just love it. Because you kind of have to talk nonstop in here. Grunting is probably not an appropriate form of communication on a stream. Although it would be good, if I called myself Mama Bear and just ran all the time, there might be a certain amount of interest in that for like about 30 seconds. No, it's just the condor egg. If you enter it, you get XP. You just find the egg, only one person finds it, and whoever finds it takes it to Madam and sells it for $1,000. That's why no one joins it, because only one person can win. Everybody else gets the XP though, so I joined them when I had the collector's roll just to get, I don't know how much XP I got for that, but you get XP now that they're all maxed out. There's not a point. The only reason I go in it now is for just that, for getting my second daily event, free roam event. Easy, and if you go and actually study it and watch any of the videos about it, they basically show you where all the actual spots they are. But because I go into it so rarely, it's like I just wouldn't invest the time even to go and watch a video, because I don't need $1,000. You may have noticed, but when you have $200,000, $1,000 is a really, really uninteresting bit of bait, right?
Are a little impatient for sure.
But when you start out, all those free roam events, that's what I was saying about you last night. If you're doing your bounty and you want to rank up, go do the manhunt and do that. What's the other one? Manhunt
but given their lack of culture, I have to admit that they have chosen
Those two
well.
events will rank you up
These
to level 30
jugs
within
will arrive
less than a
quickly
week.
and in one piece.
Less than a week. I started playing the PC version in, I think it was in March. It's April, May, June, July, August. 5 months later, I'm ranked out and at a level 450 now. So, no. And what you can do, if I had known he was talking loud, let's deliver this. We're just sitting here randomly, and there's a player right there, and I'm not even in defensive mode. Look at this. Hello, dude. He might have shot me, but he didn't. I'm going to say thank you for that. I appreciate that, because I am in a non-solo lobby, and I don't even have defensive on, so he could have actually... It's bad when you get into playing in solo lobbies. You just forget. You forget that there's players out there that are not exactly peacetime players. They're sort of... They think we're in the middle of a war, so they must kill first to be killed. You know what I mean? Not my thing, but you'll see lots of players here now. And there's nothing for them to gain to come after this. So you don't get why they do it, but somebody just peed in their cornflakes, I guess, and they just have a bad attitude for the day and, want to kill you just because they can. So, ooh, this one, I've got explosive ammo. I love it when I have explosive ammo, especially for these guys. I'm not going to go back Maybe somebody else wants to go and loot them that's in the channel. Off to the cabin we go. At least I hope we don't get the whatchamacallies, the guys that are ambushing you. I do not like ambush. I do not like the ambush. Come on. Come on, a little closer. How can I shoot you if you stay so far away? Come on. By the time he gets here, I'm going to be just making this turn and he'll disappear right there. He's disappearing. Yep. Turn. You got a turn, buddy. You got a turn. Oh man, I sure crashed a lot of moonshine when I first started. Lots of people do that, even in the trade route. You know, they act like they're the host of the event by saying, all right, let's work together. And you're just sitting there going, who's this wee shit? But I don't know. See, that was worth some to do that. We got a little bit of gold there. Is there a collectible over there? No, sometimes there is. An egg, the loon eggs are sometimes over there. But not today, no loon eggs. Let's see if there's a flower over here. Sometimes it's here. This would be sort of sad. There's nothing. But I got my point 2 for delivering my moonshine. That's always a thing. Let's go and see if this is the spot. I'm not feeling the vibration though, so pretty much sure it's not there. All right, do we finish that or do we head back, start another moonshine? Because it doesn't hurt. Keep it going. Yeah, I would rather have that in the event, like that guy being loud. At least you can turn the volume down. You can't do anything about the people that decide to rope you in an event. I mean, you can waste the time, but like for me, at my level of playing, I can shoot a lot of people, a lot of NPCs from a long distance, and I can, you know, absorb a lot of bullets. So it's important for me to be out and available to help shooting, whereas when they keep people busy, and especially if the high levels go after them, it's okay if you can take them out, but if they keep you busy, that's when it all starts to fall apart, because there's just not enough people in there protecting it against the NPCs. And all you got to do is take the wrong person of the front, the middle, or the back, and they're going to start destroying your moonshine. Or sorry, your goods. Okay, let's start that up again. Welcome, welcome. We're just talking about the Condor event and how many people go in it. But feel free to join in on our little poll here. We have the question: do you think Red Dead Redemption is? Let's see. We got to look at our event. Of course, I can't pull it up to see it. Oh, there it is under polls. Okay. Let's go start this up before we do that. I think that there's going to be a Red Dead Redemption cult players forever,
I have some ideas.
if that makes sense. I think that there will always be people who really want to play this game. I don't think that Red Dead Redemption or Rockstar are ever going to get involved with the... I mean, they do. We have like Freewheeling. That's an outside group that they're involved with. My vote is that Red Dead is going to monetize this in exactly the same way that they did with GTA. And then they'll put less and less into the game and the mechanics, and they'll put a lot more into... you know what I think they could do what it could have done to have saved? I think that they could have put in, say... Instead of gold, what if they had come up with a new monetization system that isn't in the original Red Dead? Okay, so all the stuff that they're using as modders are, I know Nightbot is making sure people are, I don't know what, let's see, let's go and view what it was, what the message was. That was silly. Let's bring that back up. How do I Nightbot, you're rude. So if it's doing this to everybody who posts, then stick with us, Huck Finn. We'll get this sorted out. We might have to put Nightbot in a little timeout.
Go on, give me a challenge.
just give him a little bit of a rest there. It could be why we don't have anybody talking to, because if he's putting everybody in a timeout who tries to talk, that's not very great. So, bad Nightbot, you get a timeout. We were starting this moonshine, weren't we? Alright, let's do that so we're not just sitting here waiting. And my apologies, Huck Finn, for our overzealous Nightbot here. I agree with you with what you said, by the way, as well. We will get it figured out so it can't do that. Welcome back, Finn. Sorry for our bot's bad manners. Nightbot's got his own timeout now. So yeah, I like what you had to say there, because it frustrates me a little bit.
I am yours to
That
command.
I think that this game could have gone a long ways, and I think they could have made a lot of money. But what I think they needed to do is I think they needed to, instead of, let's flavor this before we forget, instead of monetizing the gold,
Yes,
I think
this
they were
will
starting
work
to look at that. I
very
think that they might
nicely.
have been, it would have been nice if they would have put stuff behind the gold that you had to unlock certain things in different ways. Exactly, you make lots of gold without purchasing them. So what they should probably do, if they wanted to keep the game, keep the people's interest, I would use my own money even to go buy some of those old masks that they have, you know? Like that very first mask is the mask that I don't have, and I like it the best. And they put the very best mask out there. I like the blue one too, a little bit, you know, it's kind of cool for the horse. And they put lots of masks out for Halloween. But I got to tell you right now, if there is not a pass for this Halloween, if they do nothing, I mean, maybe they'll bring back, you know, the zombies into the, what do you call it, the, God. Oh, my brain just did a, what? So now, as soon as Nightbot left, Streamlabs goes after you. You know what it is, Huck? They don't like the length of your messages, so I'm going to bring these back so that we can be seen. It's not letting me put the message back up. Okay, so I'm going to go and edit those guys so that they'll allow longer messages. But generally in stream, what the bots are looking for and what they're doing to you is because you have more than 3 lines, and I can go edit that, but that's the reason it's doing it. So I'm going to go into those bots and just edit that. But it's hard sometimes to say something in less than 3 lines, but we're going to leave this here. I'm going to go and edit those out so he doesn't kick you again, Huck, because that's really annoying when he does that. I know, me too. Like, look at mine when I post. I have like 4 or 5 lines. So we got to get that guy fixed up, because that's very annoying. All right, there we go. To commands, to dashboard. Welcome, Sugar Bear. So glad you could show up. So we're going to go to spam protection, and okay, where is that? Oh, see, this is silly. I'm looking at some of the stuff that it's been banning for, and for somebody who posted 5 question marks in a row, they got banned. Timed out, I should say. So she's pretty serious here. So we're going to... That one I want to leave in there. But I don't think you can go anything wrong with those at all. And then we have to go back to Huck. I'm going to add you in there as a regular if you don't mind, so it won't do anything to you. Alright, let's see if that's going to work. Okay, it says user not found. Alright, I'll go back and take a look and see what your name was there. Thanks for your patience, by the way. We are figuring this, by we I mean me. I'm figuring this out as I go along. So let's go back into the channel. Okay. Yeah, I like the idea of the ranch user too. I miss those. I love the Outlaw Pass more than anything else. It was so exciting to have that come along, and wow, I mean, people would fly through their Outlaw Passes. The interest that was there, they had such saturated interest for, that whole 6 weeks right after that. People were just flying at it, and now it's more like, so Huck Finn, why can I not add you? Well, that's what I'm trying to do, Huck. I'm trying to get this so that in time, instead of, the most exciting thing being about going and killing people like other players, what if the most exciting thing was, creating our own content? Like once I went with Austin BMX and he set up taking all the characters and he edited it so that his character went and hog-tied a woman and carried her off, or no, somebody else hog-tied this woman, carried her off, like one of those. And then we all were up at the cabin, and where she was being held, we all sat there and we bombarded the cabin with arrows and flaming arrows, dynamite, bombs, flaming whatever. And then he came out when the thing was on fire, and I loved that. I think that's what's going to happen with Red Dead Redemption, is there's going to be more of that, of people just going crazy with the content. Yeah, I think that they could do a lot of that stuff because of the clothing design. Like some of the outfits that I really like don't match with the holster design. I'd like to see them have a holster, up on the top too, where you could pull one from. Like it sits instead of the bandoliers, they have a holster right there. And the women, don't you think it would be cool if under those dresses a woman could hide like a little derringer or something like that? Austin, yeah, he was incredible. I rode with their group and Pony Macaroni. They're hilarious. I rode with Austin and Pony and Granny. Granny used to baptize us with flaming arrows and dynamite right by La Gras. She'd be saying, okay, all the newbies had to go into the water there. And I was thinking, okay, this is going to be awesome. And then we're being bombarded with dynamite and arrows and holy. And as soon as you were dead, then you had been properly baptized. Yeah, I think it would be fun if they could have, like people like to go in and they like to pick their wardrobe to match for this or that. I like to match my horse, but if they made more of that stuff, this would become an epic. Like we've had, 4 years of it now already. So it was 18 to 22, that's almost 4 years. Yeah, I would, for the time period as well, I think they could. There's going to be people, because of the alien spaceships and because of the vampire that's already in Red Dead Redemption 2, and because they have a history. Like, what's the one, Red Dead, where it was all like all vampires and zombies or whatever. Like, I think that they could do that easily. I'm going to go and play in the band for a little while so I can talk to you guys, because I love this discussion. This is the kind of stuff that I think is important, because say we had like 100 of us in here and we put a survey out and we start talking to people about what we would like. Theoretically, that's the feedback that you would think that they want. Wouldn't you? That they want to know where to go, what direction to go, that the game will be keep engaged. So I'm kind of sad that, when you get it where all it is people fighting and the PC is nuts. Yeah, and when I have like the black horse, I always have to have something black, or if I have, I'll match my horse's hair to my outfit, like if I go with red. And these are things that people like to do. They should learn because what is it? The Sims. Like, there's no logical sense The Sims is such a hit of a game, except I said to myself, this is odd. Do you know what I'm thinking about when I'm playing The Sims? I'm remembering cutouts that we had as kids, and we like to put outfits on little cardboard characters. Now, okay, I know that that's not high tech, but we as humans haven't evolved so much. We still want that stuff. We want to dress up our cardboard cutout. We want themes, you know what I mean? And more saddles that actually had decent, like, here's the problem. I love some of the horses, but why does a certain color have to have a certain spec? Why can't I have a beautiful shiny buckskin and pay for higher, like, make me pay gold to have higher specs on my horse, like, you know? Yeah, I mean, but like, you like to be historically accurate, but if you're playing your game and another person is playing it on a different level, and they say they decided that they want to be, like when I go and put those goggles on or something like that, there were goggles, there was like, steampunk is actually acceptable for this time because the steam engines were there, so that kind of stuff they could probably go into. Yeah, the hot colors, and like, that's why I say like but then again, if you look at it, I mean, for the time, you have to acknowledge that early America was as much about Mexico as it was about, you know, the Texans were Mexicans. Let me put it that way. So, you know, one of the largest states was pretty much, you know, Mexicans. So that level of it, I was actually very appreciative of, and that they actually spoke about the First Nation involvement in the time. I like that. I like that they had steamships in the game, like all that stuff. They could have gone with the early steam cars, but I think if they'd done it that way, they might have got a little too far away, because there's other games that came up with that. But yeah, too many hot colors. Like, that's why, look at the muted colors in here. That's what we come to, that antique color. We're all comfortable with that. So as soon as it got too much purple, you know, they didn't even have those colored fabrics yet. Like, some of those colors didn't exist yet for fabrics. Oh, wow, Bill Hickok, he was awesome. And like, what's her name, Jane? The one that was the shoot. The women back in those times were the sharpshooters too, because women, just from their ability to maintain still and steadiness, can actually be better. What was her name? Calamity Jane? Was it Calamity Jane, I think? Yeah, this is the stuff that I like to get into. It's not so much about the game, but talking about the game. I mean, and you know, we have this peaceful Zen cat that's not quite snoring. He's looking right at me going, what are you talking about? Peaceful. I want to bite this little rodent here with the ears beside me. Oh, he hates Yoda. But yeah, I'd love to see it go in that direction. Yeah, and you know, seeing the guys, but you know what the worst part is in this game? If you wear one of those hats, it's a red flag to any serious bona fide redneck who decides no self-respecting guy should ever be wearing one of those hats. And he comes along and he kills you because you're wearing that hat. Right? So there's definitely some attitude in this game, but that's kind of what's fun about it, is that, you know, it's one of the few, when you have a group of people and I'm not even playing. Did you notice that? I'm just sitting there like listening to the music and not playing. Oh man, not even entertaining you guys. My apologies. Oh, Huck, you gotta come back and visit with us. I like your attitude. I like your style. I've never enjoyed more than riding with people who have a big ass, you know, pimp hat on and, you know, aren't afraid to just wear it. To me, that's the ultimate bravery and the ultimate, a real, you know, just do it. That's my view. Yeah. We love it. Yeah, we're good on feedback here. And unfortunately, we've had a little problem with our bots being slightly zealous. Well, I'm a redneck too, from the prairies in Canada, right? But with all things, any intelligent creature does evolve too. It doesn't mean you aren't still a redneck. You know where you came from. I can still shoot a gun, and I'll tell you, I won lots of those fair where you had to shoot things. They'd look at me like, "What, a girl?" But my dad was a cop. We sat and learned how to shoot before I knew how to shoot before I knew how to drive a car. I could shoot the bullseye on a target. I mean, that's not really very fair to say, because it really means how close was I standing, but you know what I mean? That's what trees were for. You went and nailed a piece of paper with the bullseye on it. You didn't waste your time with buying fancy stuff like that. A big what? Well, Rockstar, to add anything, and they can't possibly be still saying that they don't have enough programmers, and seriously, realistically, all programmers can work from home. I've worked in telecom, right? Other than downloading all the time of huge files might be a challenge, but any self-respecting sysadmin knows how to get where you can log in and do that stuff, so that's not a big deal. Oh, let's move this. I didn't realize how low it was. Let's put it up there. Oh, I see why it doesn't like it. It wants to snap. There, now you're in spot. But yeah, I'd rather sit and talk about things like this, because as far as I'm concerned, is the people who watch and listen to this actually feel like when you express your ideas, and there's nothing against any group of people ever, because to me, I have been just about every group of people at some point in my life. I've been rich, I've been poor, I've been really poor, never been really rich, but you know, I was making good money. And then I wasn't, and then I had illnesses and cancer and all sorts of stuff, and I'll tell you, you have a different perspective once you've been someplace. It's very easy for a person who's grown up in the city and has never experienced hunting and fishing for themselves. They're goners if this war happens, because they believe, what is the statistic? I think the statistic was that after an actual food source stops coming in, like if no trucks could move, the people in the city wouldn't last more than 2 to 3 weeks with the available food supply. I'm not trying to doom and gloom, I'm just trying to point facts. So a lot of people, when they talk about rednecks usually come to be from people who decided, I'm not putting up with the quote rat race, and I want to be in a situation where I can grow my own vegetables. Nobody's going to tell me I can't have a chicken in my backyard to have eggs. To me, that's what redneck means, right? That you just aren't. You know where the term redneck actually came from? It's the farmer tan. Anybody who's been a farmer, and I'm the daughter of a farmer. When my dad wasn't an RCMP officer anymore, he went and yeah, like a lot of people assume that if you're a redneck that you don't love nature. That's not true. People who choose not to be in the city and who make a choice to go outside of the city, they're actually making a choice for themselves and their children, you know? It's to get them to understand what nature is and to respect it, as far as I'm concerned. And I like that. Because I don't think we'd be in some of the messes that we're in if we just paid a little closer attention. And one of the things that I kind of love about all of it is no matter what humanity does, nature's taking herself back. It doesn't matter what we do, she's always got a plan. And if you watch any of those YouTube videos, yes, exactly, that's where I was going. It comes from the farmer tan, because they all had short hair, they had baseball caps on, and they wore a t-shirt, because when you're sweating, you had that low neck of the t-shirt, and so you always got burns. So that makes perfect sense. Yeah, you're outdoors, you're doing stuff, you get up in the morning early because you got to make sure all your animals are good. I'll never forget, I learned a lot about responsibility when living on the prairies. It was 42 below, and I had to go to school, and I was like, the water's all frozen, so I had to pour water into a bucket, haul it out, get the hose warmed up, take the hose out quickly, running the water to fill the water tank up. And I can remember one time I thought, I'm going to be really smart. I put one bucket in there, and so my dad, he says, so you watered the cows? I was ready to get up and go to school, and I said, yeah. And He doesn't say a word except that's a good thing, because you know those cows, they depend on that water, and if you don't give them water, they're going to go the day without water. Well, I had to go back out and water them. I couldn't stand the thought that the cows had to do without because I was lazy and didn't want to take the time on a cold day to go out. I used to love hunting and fishing, but a lot of times, I prefer, like you say, collecting berries. And what I'm really against is the idea that it's okay for us to GMO all the vegetables now. Like, most people don't know that wheat has been GMO, so has rape. It's canola called canola now. I won't touch canola in a store. I won't go anywhere near it. All that stuff has been genetically modified for who? The city people, because that's who they have to feed, and that's always been what brings civilization down. Well, I think that nature is God. I think that natural and everything else, that is God. If God created it all. I try not to make things too much on a religious basis, because we all have our own different spirituality, but you won't feel any more spiritual than when you, and that's the thing. Like, I was okay with GMO food when they were saying things like, no, this means we'll eradicate this, or we're going to like, if they're going to get rid of cancer, fine, I could see GMO, but they aren't getting rid of cancer because it's too much of a way to make money, right? And yeah, I know that sounds very conspiracy theories, but conspiracy theories exist because groups of people do get together and do the dastardly things, right? So, yeah, I'm good with organic. Doesn't even have to be organic, but here's the problem. You can call it organic as well. Everybody's getting food poisoning from spinach, because guess what they're using to fertilize the spinach? You know the honey wagons that come and take out your compost from your septic? They're taking human waste and putting it on top, spraying it on top of the spinach. Now, if you don't wash that all off, that's E. coli right there. So it isn't about, even organic or, because theoretically that would be organic if I wanted to spray that all over, right? And because you don't. Organic misses. I worked for one of BC's organic companies. It was PAC, and it's what seals the approval of all organic food. And the really annoying thing is you could be completely organic, but if you've got a guy in a neighbor next to you spraying, he gets drift, and you could have some of the delicious Monsanto crap all over your product now. And Monsanto historically sued farmers that were next to them, because when their seeds, when they sprayed stuff on their seeds, it sprayed on other crops, and they blamed them. Oh, that's the way to go. A lot of my friends that have farms have also been doing bee farming, but the saying is, when the bees are gone, so is humanity. Because that's that we like, I've fertilized, like I did my own growing here, because when I had the cancer, they told me to use cannabis, and so I thought, I used to hybridize daylilies. I loved the idea of each one being a unique, genetically unique, because I'd hybridized it. So I thought this would be great, but hybridization on its own is a really slow process. If you have like these big farms have 8 sections all together to make, or they have 8 quarter sections with, I guess that makes 2 sections, something like that. You have oh, we hit the big 240 for our subs. That's awesome. Thanks, Huck. That was awesome. We've messed stuff up so much. Like, it's through the stuff that we've done. I'm not fond of genetically modified, so I won't eat anything other than olive oil, pure virgin olive oil, because it doesn't have any GMO in it at all. But even my margarine, I make sure is made with olive oil instead of whatever. What do they say? The more words you can't pronounce. I can't take sulfites in my diet, or MSG, so they hide it and call it another word, right? And they'll just use a different word for it, and then it's not MSG anymore. Glycerides, right? Anything that ends with the IDE, you might want to stay away from it. because it's, you know, all that stuff. Whatever happened to just regular food? Yeah, I don't mow our lawn. We've had a lot of people looking at us oddly because, I mean, we're in a smaller little area, and you know, you're supposed to look after your lawn, but no one complains about it. So nobody's complaining because we all know that if you mow and use a lot of water, it takes a lot more water. Whereas if you let it grow and go to seed, there's less erosion, there's less everything. It's just you know, you could aerate, but you know, you don't even need to do that. It's not like it's a bloody golf course, right? So yeah, I'm all for those, and I'm also now. I wanted to have the nicest flowers that I could ever have. You know, now I want flowers that, if I was hybridizing my daylilies, if my daylilies, my seedlings can't survive. You know, this hasn't moved. Is it me or no? It did. We delivered and been back already. But I'm having a good conversation. Cue the music. There we go. I'm going to try and do this again. Songs. This is what I want in a channel. Well, the water table's already done. Like, we're in big trouble already. If you look at what's happened, if you look at China, Europe, America, Canada hasn't got the lakes drying up yet, and we have the most lakes in the world. So I'm fairly feeling safe about that right now here, but the rest of the world is not. So how can you sit safely and say you have the largest water source when you have, you know, America down below? They want all of our dammed water that's happening in the east, and all of our hydro dams they want to have access to be able to contribute to the grid, but you can't, you know, pass electricity on for a long ways. I better get out of there. I'm going to get killed. Oh, he went away already. I'm in defensive, but I don't usually ride in here. I usually go into a solo lobby to get things done, but one of the things that I find with Red Dead Redemption is that it is a great game to sit and talk about the current events, because we have history right here and we know what's happening right now, and if we look at the trajectory from history to now, we can see that we don't have a really good projection for the future. Wisconsin. Yeah, we have woods. I live basically in the woods. We have water supply here, and we have an underground water supply too. So we have falls right next to my house, like not even like half a mile away. It's closer than the half mile, but you have to go a little ways to get to it. And I consider it to be one of the most beautiful. You have to actually bring bear bells or something, because we have both. We have bears and we have grizzlies show up here. Cougars, lots of cougars. Like the day of my surgery, my husband comes walking and he says, "Hon, you might want to just hold off coming out to the car for a minute." And I was like, "Why?" He says, "Well, there was a bear in the yard, and I'm sure he's headed towards a tree when he saw me, but, you know, don't want to surprise him." So sure enough, we had to wait for the bear to go up the tree so we could go out our driveway. And I was training horses over at a friend's, and while we were down working with the horses, in between the time that we walked from the house to when we were down working, okay, I need to shoot you, buddy, because it is the day. This is the day for bringing up, oh, don't use that. Down one. He's running circles around me. I love when he does that. My usual thing is to fall straight into the... Oh, you gotta shoot that guy. There we go. I need his carcass for today, because I noticed that there was a shortage, but we can use the grizzly. Yeah, we have had, like I was saying, we went up to, as we were working on the horses, from the time we walked down, caught the horses, were working them, and then we were walking back up to the house. There were cougar tracks across, like not 100 feet away from where we were. And if, like, cougars won't go after a group of people, but if there was one lone person by themselves and they were hungry or in enough trouble, they might come after you. And you won't know about them. They'll know about you. not the other way around. So should we bring camp up here? Because we're going to hit more bears than we are. Oh, I don't know. Let's travel to camp. Just turn it in. Wow. Who would know that they would have that big a... Or, you know, I wonder too, like, you know, sometimes you get them where they're trying to find their own hunting territory, and once they have, like in... Well, for a forest fire, like we get so many forest fires here, that they're being forced from whatever habitat they're in. And I don't know if you're having it there in Wisconsin, Huck, but they have had the coyotes and the wolves are breeding. And then up past, like, not Alaska, but in the Yukon, in the Yellowknife, in those areas, they're finding, look it up if you don't believe me, because this is going to sound ridiculous, but they're called pizzlies and growlers. And they're the polar bears breeding with the grizzlies. And if you, I don't even want to know, because I think either of those are bad enough, but I don't need a cross of them. Because that means that you just get the polar bears with their vicious, you know, attack first and think later. Who knew, right? That's a long ways. I don't know a lot about cougars and how they are for territory, but so you probably already know about the pizzlies and those growlers. I thought it was a joke when I first saw it online. I was like, oh, come on, pizzlies. Who came up with that? And then I realized they're just giving a cross of like the wolves and the coyotes. I don't know what they call them, but that means that the coyotes are getting more and more unpredictable. Like right now, you would say a coyote isn't coming after you, right? He runs away. Yeah, hybrid grizzlies and polar bears for sure. I never would have believed it, but that's how... Oh, I better put my flag back up. That's why they always worry about things going extinct, but I worry more about what the hybrids are going to be as they can't live. Because anything you get that's slightly... Like coyotes are kind of passive. They stay away from humanity, but they're always on the edges of farms and everything. They're really close to us. They eat the chickens. And wolverines are not something you ever want to take on. I was driving with a friend on his ranch in the back, and just driving over rough terrain. It was like sort of in the... I don't know if you've ever heard of the hoodoos, but they're in like southern Alberta. So we were driving down up a little on the higher ridge areas, and this wolverine was running beside us, not even slightly scared of the truck, and running towards the truck. If we'd have stopped the truck, I really believe it would have taken us on. No, it might have been a badger. I don't know for sure. I'm trying to remember now which ones are in that area. One of those two it was, but I wouldn't take on either of those ever, right? Yeah, as I get older, though, I have to say that one of the things that's more important for me than being away from civilization is being closer to civilization, because I guess, you know, a lot of people would say if it's their time, they're going to go, but I just know way too many people who, you know, get into, like for me, I could get into stroke territory, and I kind of, or heart attack, our family has those too, and I want to be close to emergency, because really, if you can get there fast enough, you can really carry on and have 10 more years of good life. So, yeah. And like they're also going to be expanding back up, because the animals that here's my thought: the polar bears are going down and hybridizing with the grizzlies. The elk and the reindeer and all those are moving farther north because it's getting greener and there's so much more. So people worry about the disappearance of the polar bears, but I think things just hybridize, and we're going to end up with, you know, the wolves are going to be plentiful, because in the areas where they were away from civilization, they even brought wolves back and found out beavers. That was what it was. They brought beavers into an area, and they found out that what they naturally do with their damming actually improved the area all the way around. We'll see you in a little while, Kiva. Be safe out there. Yeah, Huck, we've got another member here who's from Wisconsin, and I'm up in Western Canada, and BC is very much of a. Um, let me put it this way: during Vietnam, BC, Vancouver, caribou herds. That's what it was that I was looking for. That word. Yeah, because once this melting isn't harming them. My biggest fear with the melting, other than the flooding, because we're going to have floods and droughts both ways, because it floods in one area, and what people don't realize is the mountains get their rainforest, or their rains from the coastal, as the rains go up the mountain. Well, I'm seeing that a lot of mountain ranges that lived off the runoff of the glaciers have melted, and there's not enough, the rain is falling down on close to the coast, but it's not getting up to the mountains anymore. So the mountains are kind of turning into deserts now. That's my fear, is that what used to be beautiful mountain ranges, look at Colorado. They've got the canyon there, and they used to have huge big hills. Obviously, you can tell from the hoodoos there. And yeah, spirit bears. We've got, they've seen a couple around here. There's some that they watch on one of those cams in Alaska. I like watching those. But, some guy was proudly talking about having killed a spirit bear, and I just wanted to choke him with my own hands. First off, unless he's coming after you, you don't shoot bears. Yes, I know they call them, but I don't even agree with that too much, because I understand too much about politics and who gets who has the ability to get those licenses for those animals when they're doing the calls. And it's people with money, and it's always about money, so I get a bit pissed that way. It's another thing when you talk about rednecks. They're not as obsessed with money. They're obsessed with status quo. Is that fair to say? We don't want things to change unless we can understand why are they changing it. Yeah, and they're going to seed the clouds. I don't know if you heard what China's going to be doing, but do you remember, well, if you're not old enough, you won't know about this, but in the 70s, when I was in school, we were told that Russia was modifying the weather, and all of a sudden our weather started changing, and it got colder for a while. I remember it because we went and looked at the thermostat, and it was minus 45. And I remember, when people are saying minus 45, is that, centigrade or Fahrenheit? Well, it really doesn't matter, because at minus 42, they're exactly the same. I think it's 42. So you know what minus 45 is. If you know what minus 45 is Fahrenheit, you know what it is. Oh, so you get it. You get what I'm talking about. I'm 59. I'm going to be 60 next year. So, we come from a place where we remember growing our own food, and my parents homesteaded, my grandparents homesteaded, and my grandmother's sister was the first white person born in their area of Alberta. So there wasn't one of the things that bothers me is they worked with the natives. They worked with them, because you surely could not live without understanding, how that, went to visit my mother-in-law here, and if you go to Alberta, the spruce trees are just loaded with cones, and I'm talking loaded, and you can barely see the branches. They're so heavy with cones. And I mean, we knew things back then, that what that meant was that we were in for a nasty winter. The berries, if it was a really heavy berries, we knew we knew what to expect from that. We didn't call them wives' tales. We called it the Farmer's Almanac. And we believed stuff like that because it had always been the case. And now they just make stuff up, right? The scientists aren't the evil. But, you look at what goes on. What are you doing, horse? You're going crazy. Have something to eat, maybe. But that's the stuff that I like to talk about, because to me, where our world is going, none of us are innocent. We were born in the time when we knew something wasn't wrong with our climate, right? we knew that people were talking about the ozone layer. Do you remember when that first came up? You're, not too far behind me. You would have been talking about it in school and social studies. And so what they told us to do is we had to stop with everybody was using hairspray that was an aerosol at the time. And to create those aerosols, they had to use something that caused the depletion of the ozone. I don't know exactly what it was, which chemical, but now you don't see those hairsprays around. And if you go and look it up, guess what? The ozone healed. So when they say that us older people weren't doing anything, yes, we were. We were doing things. We were paying attention. We knew about the ozone, and we did something about that because radiation was coming in. So, I mean, we weren't stupid, but then we actually were gullible and naive enough to think after that the government was on it, right? Didn't you think that? I thought that. I thought, we're paying 30% of our wages to taxes. I surely thought that, that those taxes were going towards keeping our planet safe, or our part of the planet anyways, and that we were doing what we were to meet the Paris Accord and that sort of thing. And so my heart was just broken when, it seemed like the rest of the world just sort of went, we don't care anymore. It's done for. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your time. She's done for. I don't believe that. I believe that, yes, I do believe that nature's going to do exactly what she wants. But we, in our time, in the 40 years since we knew until now, we were capable of the changes that we made, patching that ozone up. And so something happened, and we were capable of reversing it. So do I think that the big corporations are way ahead of us? Yes, but do I think that the minute we say, oh, that's not a big deal. I mean, World War II is why plastic came to be. There was no such thing as plastic before that. And then all of a sudden they're melting everything down to make bullets for the war. Probably World War I as well, because it's right in between, I think, World War I and II that plastic and plastic buttons start to be used. So if you look at the military uniforms prior to that, they were all metal buttons. And then they switched to plastic for clothing, and all metal's being melted down. So I'm just sitting here wondering what's going to happen. Yeah, and having grandparents, that's the other reason why I sort of look at it is, when you had grandparents, you had respect for the grandparents, and you heard their stories. Whereas now, the nuclear family, which I believe was encouraged by the government, because this isn't too far-fetched. It was in the government's best interest to have us all in separate households, buying separate homes. It would grow the economy. They didn't realize that what they did by taking all the grandparents away from everybody and putting them in all different locations, or some of them not being able to afford to live around each other anymore, that we would lose all of that wisdom, because old people by themselves don't do as well without family and connection. So they had less of a drain, so they weren't caring. That's why I think there was a lot of people that were so passé about, looking after the old people. They sort of would say things like, well, they got us into this mess. No. Old people were paying attention. There's just as many stupid young people as there are stupid old people. The difference is that the young people still have a chance. Stupid old people are likely to stay that way until death. Yes, hemp was being used. If you look at the Declaration of Independence, people don't realize it's signed on hemp paper, because when you came over to the new colonies here, or say you wanted a plot to grow anything, you had to sign a deal saying that you would grow hemp, because the ships that were sailing back and forth, their sails and all of their ropes were all made out of hemp. So the big crackdown, you know where that comes from? It's a government official, a politician, I can't remember his name right now, in the United States, who had investments and owned a logging company. He was what makes all the changes. Yeah, there were 6 kids in our family too. So I knew about this. We had to have a great big... Oh, Streamlads, quit already. Sorry about that. Alright, Streamlabs, you have to go away for a little while. I'm so sorry, Huck. This is hard to have a conversation when he's doing that, so I'm going to go and do some... yeah, we gotta go here. This will take me a minute, but we'll get it fixed. Huck, don't go away. I'm enjoying this conversation. So it has to be in, I think it's in studio I'd make these changes. Alright, where are those? Participant, blah blah blah. Oh, I'm sorry I did that. I so hate when my channel goes rogue like that. So manage. It's not going to let me do it in here. I don't know how to get rid of Streamlabs or put them in timeout here. Where is it? Is it going to be in participants maybe? Yeah, I've learned lots, but I have not learned that yet. Alright, so I'm going to have to just put her in a safe place. So let's fast travel her to camp or something like that. Alright, so it's this here, and we want to go to... not there. Options. Oh, this is frustrating, Huck. I'm so sorry. But we'll get this fixed here. We really will. Alright, is it in here? Channels. In here, maybe? No, it's not there. There we go. I think that's where it is. Oh, I kept missing it. It's in settings. Okay, community. So we're going to just take him out of there. So go ahead and try again. You should be able to talk without any of this nonsense now. I just wonder how many people have been tossed out just because of that. So let's fast travel to camp. And I hope you're back and everything's good again. So let's back here. Back. Alright, my fingers crossed that that deals with that particular issue. Streamlabs is in a timeout now too. Alright, we're back. There you go. I think the people are starting to do it. I was watching a YouTube video and they were showing about container growing. Now I know a lot of this probably comes from the illegal grow ops, but they'd figured out if you, okay, it was this rotating system where they have all these little plants put into like on the top they had the grow lights, but they had this system where all these little tiny plants were being rotated, so they got like a little bit of the light and then a little bit of not dark but not intense light, and they just kept rotating these 24 hours, rotating them around, and then they would move them, and these are in containers, and they showed an entire this huge land, and they said if you try to grow it on one flat level like this, you couldn't grow as much. Yeah, I've heard that about wind farms, but I can tell you if they put, as they're going to do here in Nova Scotia, like Canada just signed a deal with Germany, and they're going to remove the hydrogen from some water to be able to fuel hydrogen plants. And my thought is, as sad as I might be about a few of the birds, it is built on the rocks where there's some nests, but I don't think that they're going to be building them smack dab in an area of rare birds, because Canada kind of has some attitude toward that. But they could grow stuff like that. We can have cucumbers. We could have all sorts of those things growing, and not having to see they're overworking the soil that's out there, and then it gets loose, and they don't put enough nutrients back into it. So I think that it's called soil poor right now, or nutrient poor soil. Just for the record, we are at 31 degrees Celsius in Canada, which is 94 degrees. So it's fall and we're still pretty hot in Canada. Yeah, I mean, that and see, my very favorite is I took like, I grew, where we're at, it's pretty much desert. We're on the verge of desert and still the rainforest because it's right sort of on the edge there. And like the Okanagan has grapes grow here, fruits grow here. Yeah, anything that is renewable, that is not hard to sustain, and that isn't like, I don't want them to make. Here's my thought: instead of growing, spraying weeds, plant marigolds around them. Right? Marigolds will keep aphids away from your fruit. They'll keep things away. That's sort of what we call responsible farming. Let's call it that. Responsible farming. Yeah, raspberries, blackberries, stuff that's native to the area so that you don't get new diseases come in and wipe them out. We don't get chestnuts here, but we have walnut trees, right? Walnut trees, hazelnut trees. People just stopped growing those things because we had a migration to the city, so nobody could afford to keep the farm anymore. And now with the price of fuel going up, the only way you could have kept your farm going is if you had a regular day job. Say your spouse worked in town and you worked the farm, that would work. Well, now it costs an arm and a leg to drive. If you're 20 miles away from, and in Canada that's not an exaggeration, being 20 miles away from a place where you can work. So what does it cost to have to commute 20 miles every day? It's almost not worth having the job. You know, we've just had so much change in the last few years. That's how I feel. You know, I'm going to time out if I don't keep her moving. These are the discussions I love. This is what this channel's for. It's for people coming in. They can even have difference of opinion. I have no problem with a person respectfully expressing their difference of opinion. But I don't like people coming in and saying, you know, my God told me so, therefore it's so. Because there's a lot of gods that existed before this God. And it doesn't mean I don't, love my version of God. But I don't like when people try to say their version's right, therefore it's okay to kill everybody else because they have a different God. I think there is only one God, and every one of those religions has found it in some form or another. And I actually have a much stronger belief in quantum physics. And I believe that quantum physics is going to explain a lot more about religion than anything. I was studying or watching a physics channel that's talking now about, they think they're going to find that the fourth dimension exists inside of the particles, which is really freaky. I like that though. We have wild asparagus here too. Like, we live really close, and my husband had worked with First Nations here, and we learned a lot. Like the salmon fishing, people might think it's great, but so many of the creeks and rivers have been diverted or have had fires or have been dammed. There's just so much done to them. You can learn from all of the First Nations. I mean, people wonder why First Nations don't like to celebrate, Thanksgiving Day. Well, that was the precursor to them keeping the settlers alive. And then the settlers gave them smallpox. So I can kind of see why. I'm not laughing about it. I can see for sure why people weren't really fond of the idea of we learned most everything. Like, I'm much a supporter of, Canada was very involved in the Underground Railroad. I don't know if you know about that. Yes, they stopped the spawning for the salmon, and really it interrupts with everything. And naturally, beavers used to do that, and beavers were what kept a lot of the wetland creatures and marshes going, because they had they provided for. We always forget that the apex predators need everything from down below, and once you start getting rid of things like you spray bugs, like here would be a brilliant idea. Let's kill off all the locusts, all the grasshoppers, because every 7 years they come in and wipe things out. Why? Why is there a cyclical nature to that? Oh, so you understand exactly what I'm talking about. The most proud thing, like my mom's funeral just happened, and when we were kids, we learned from our grandma. I had to cut all of our old clothes, and my mom used to make us all matching clothes. We were like this singing family, and we had to have matching clothes to go and sing for the old folks, or once we were on TV. But so we have all these fabrics of clothes that are like were totally useless. So I had to cut them down into strips, and we made them um, into these little squares. And so I was really proud of that. And then just about, oh, what was it, like last couple years, I looked up what these quilts meant to the people on these farms with slaves, or even without slaves. They used the quilts as a messaging system. If your quilt was laying a certain way, or you put a certain quilt out, it meant that we were receiving people who needed help to the Underground Railways. Yeah, I mean, I've got some ancestry that goes back to the Micmac, the Algonquin, and the Huron. So Quebec was where the ancestry went. But if you look on, I even did my DNA because it doesn't show up there at all. It just says French, because the French had colonized there so much. But they had worked with the First Nations, the very first, the King's Men, and like the Fil de Roi that called the those were the king's daughters is what they were called. It was where France sent over a lot of women who were either in orphanages or anything. They were trained to sew, and they were trained to come over and be the first wives, because the only way they could marry when they first came over to Canada and to the United States, the only way they could marry is to First Nations that were there. And the only people who were settling in the areas were originally, nobody settled here, and not until the railroad. So we had a lot of the... Yeah, I mean, that's what I miss. I miss the extended families that you learned from other people, you know. Sorry, Lewis, I didn't even see Lewis come in. There we go. He deleted Streamlabs. Is such a bad... I'm going to try and bring them all up again. Because all those deleted messages, those were good messages. This is a good talk. I really love this. I love people who think outside the box, and who aren't afraid of expressing their views, because in general, I like people who have thought out their views, and generally people who are regurgitating everybody else's viewpoints haven't really thought about their own. And I want to be in a society where not only am I encouraged to think, but the people around me are also doing it. Yeah, I had some stuff. I did some photography for a lot of locals here, and like we're literally within 3 miles of the res, maybe 3 miles. And I have more respect for even the people who have survived the colonization. And when you start looking at residential schools, I mean, even in my own family, there's some of the people and their views, just it makes me sad. I mean, it's heartbreaking, but they had a better system and a better value for the land and the way it was. They migrated to areas, even though they had their longhouses, like the Hurons had their longhouses. But a lot of the others that were on the prairies, they couldn't do that. They had to move around. This is awesome stuff. Yeah, I like people who think openly, but don't jump on every conspiracy theory, because behind every conspiracy theory there is a grain of truth. Find that grain and then get rid of the rest. That's chaff. Anytime, what I do is follow the motivation and follow the money. Generally, if you see a push for something and it's a hard push, and there's a lot of, if you're trying to shame you into believing something by saying you're not as good enough of a citizen, you're not paying your weight if you don't pay taxes, any of that, that's always going to be government and capitalist bullshit, right? But if you get people And see, I don't want to talk about people's politics, but we can always see it. Whether it doesn't matter which side you're on, whether you're Democrat, liberal, Republican, conservative, NDP, centrist, because that's a new thing happening in the States, which I think people should take a good look at. Because the centrists mean we're going to take people from both sides of the aisle, and we're going to give you whatever it is that you guys say you want, but they might not actually deliver on it because the money and what's behind putting the people in play that are in power in play, that's always the big money. Follow the Rothschilds, follow the Waltons, right? Follow the big money that no one's talking about. Follow the owners of the big banks. I like that they're teaching that. Like, I was working with some of them up here, telling them, don't get caught up, in, like I told them all too, by all means, put up your own weed shops, because one of the beautiful things that happened in Canada, in the BC where I am, the natives who live here have never signed a treaty. They are, oh, that's awesome. We've had 6, and it's at no. Now that's interesting. Yeah, very interesting. It's always follow the money, right? Follow the money, not just money. Follow the dark money. Because right now, if you see dark money going into something, if people are proud of supporting, they put their name behind it, right? Whenever there's money that people are afraid to put their name behind, it usually means that there's some shenanigans going on. So, I'm always a little nervous about that. But yeah, I could talk about these things all day long. And I don't want to ever be causing anybody else grief I don't want to tell another person that their ideas are wrong, because I think all ideas are just paths. And paths are leading you either to greater understanding or more acceptability. And you have to ask yourself, which one are you gravitating towards? Neither are wrong, because survival also involves. And if you're in a city and you don't know anything about the stuff that we're talking about, getting along and accepting the status quo is kind of normal. So if you look at impoverished groups that are only getting their information from one area, they're really in danger of, what we're calling fake news. Because all it takes is one person who sways a little bit. Most people are silly enough to think that people with money somehow know more. No, people with money are people who somehow got money, whether through fair means or foul. It doesn't mean they're better people. It just means that they've got more money. It doesn't mean they were smarter. It just means that at a moment they might have invested or had money given to them. Like, I don't think Trump is a smart guy, but he certainly did get a lot of money given to him. And then he managed to keep money through the process of cheating other people and going to court, keeping himself in court. Before he was elected, I remember saying to my sister, my niece was saying to me, he's the only one telling the truth. And I said, you are aware that he's had a university go bankrupt and that he hasn't had a business that hasn't gone bankrupt. And yes, that's getting into politics, but my only point being with that is you see the red flag warnings way far back. Choosing not to look at them isn't the politician's fault. It's the voters' fault. If you think that because people made money, that means they somehow are going to make the country money, no. People who make money because they take it from other people for fair means or foul. Yeah. So if you've been involved, you know. And this is the question that I wanted to ask, is for all the veterans, how do they feel about things like, gun control and stuff like that? Because yes, they know that they used weapons to protect their country, but they also know the dangers of, a large populace with weapons, because there can be good things to that and bad. I would rather a trained group have access to weapons, and I would like rural areas, I'd like to see them be allowed to form their own self-protection. But how does that work, and who runs it? What they say, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So I like what you say. Yes, I want my guns, but here in Canada where there are no guns, no one's suffering. The only people who are suffering is, more often than not, cops get shot by guns. I don't understand that. But worse than guns, do you know, is killing cops? Traffic stops. Right? And we aren't eliminating traffic stops. Oh, guess what? Cops also get killed on the road with people driving too fast, rubbernecking for the accident, and they kill a cop. What, are you going to stop all accidents? Right? There's a bit of stupidity going on. You know what? Canada has guns in the way that you use them, Huck. Canada has... You can have your 30-06. No one's telling you can't have it. But and even if you're hunting a bear in a blind, your 30-06, if you ever good aim, you're going to kill it. You're going to take down a moose with that. But what they shouldn't have, yeah, more people are dying in car accidents, and what do? They just up your insurance, right? And when they want to stop, I won't go on to the whole abortion issue, because I also understand that a group of people have some rather horrid reasons. I'm just going to state this. I don't want to talk about it, but I know that the people who have probably the worst lives on this earth are people whose parents have died, or they don't know their parents, and they're subject to the foster care system. People who talk about adoption don't actually understand the process. You know the war machine you're talking about? There's an adoption and a foster money-making machine out there too. Most people don't know about it, but it's probably why I could never support people. I personally could never have an abortion. To me, a baby isn't responsible for my mistakes. However, in the event that I'm raped, or my daughter was raped, and she's 12 years old, and somebody tells me she has to keep that baby, I will kill them before I'll make my daughter keep a baby out of a incestual or a rape situation. These jackasses that say things like, oh, you know, she'll be a better person, or she'll learn. Bullshit. Nobody has the right to tell a child who's already been victimized that she should be further victimized. Yeah. And honestly, if she had decided she wanted the abortion, that would be her choice. The fact that she had the trust in you to ask you that question, if she knew that you were so adamant against abortion that you would disown her, she'll suffer. She will take this on, she will do it. But you could also say, look, if you don't want to raise a child, you would do it because it's still your grandchild. Those would be things you can give her feedback. But I would never have a friend who told their grandchild to have a child from a rape or incest situation, and we'll just take the baby and look after it. They've created mental health issues that they're never going to have to do anything about. What happened? What happened? What moment did you have, Bounty? We have Wisconsin represented here, heavily represented here today. Welcome, Bounty. It's good to see you. And you love her, and you would have loved your child just as much if she had said, I can't do it, Dad, I just can't. Right? You don't stop loving a person because they make choices. What you do is you give them a good role model, a good model. Lots of people have seen their single parents do incredible things. But the system is not friendly towards single parents. In fact, for some reason, they try to make them the evil of the system. And that's where I go back to how I really do believe that it was a political ploy to develop a nuclear family system. We all did better with extended families. We all did. Parents could go to work. The grandparents watched them. The grandparents didn't die of loneliness and abuse because the families were there. Sure, some did. I'm not saying they didn't, but those people are still being abused by their parents or their abusive children, whether they're living with them or not. So if they had a place to be, you know, chili on a bun, awesome. Yeah, we've got Wisconsin represented here, full sledge. So we had to put Nightbot and Streamlab into timeout because they aren't being friendly. I can go in and I can edit them and I'll add them back later, but anybody who's trying to talk, I was trying to figure out what was going on because we had like 12 people at one point liking but not able to talk at the stream. And it's because Nightbot's just been kicking their butts. Do you like Huck or Finn better? That's funny. We were talking about that earlier. We were actually talking about cheese. I was trying to figure out because I saw this orange thing on, and it was Kiva posting. What was it? A person, something, and so I said, "Was that cheese?" And Bounty came straight in with, "Yay, cheese!" So now I'll never forget. Wisconsin must be the cheese lover central of the world. That's all I could think of. Huck is good. All right, I like that. Huck it is. Any of us who watched Huckleberry Finn, who's the guy that he got to paint the fence? Yeah, we had quite a few in there. I wasn't, you know something, I am the worst host for a channel because I don't pay nearly enough, but my bots kick somebody and I'll just about lose it, right? Because I'm like, you're not protecting me if you're doing that. I'm going to come and bitch slap both of you, put you in a timeout. Yeah, we use bad words in here too, so not horrible words, but, you know, bad enough. We try to keep it real, that's all I can say. You know, and anybody who comes in and enjoys the conversation, or even just comes in and pokes the bear a little bit and makes it interesting. That's Kiva. Kiva comes and pokes the bear a little bit. Well, I better qualify that. I got to redo these things, but there we go. You guys got to help me add some more stuff in here because it would be so much fun to have like okay, here's something that Bounty could put up. Like, Bounty, if you were to go in and have access to the editor, you could go in and during the day that the Packers are playing, you could put in a "Yay Packers" and all kinds of entertainment and, you know, not dynamite, confetti and stuff like that. So, you know. See what I said about Kiva? She's just gotta go her own way. So, I gotta love you, Kiva. She's the innocent one. She's so innocent. Like, she lives to see me do a face plant all the time. She lives for it. It's like sometimes I fall off a cliff just to keep Kiva in the game. Oh man, that's horrible. All right, we need to do something here because we're like seriously running out. It's time to go pilfer sheep. This is, you know, you got hung for this. Like, this was like the worst thing that you could do in the Old West. And, you know, people don't pay nearly enough attention to this. Send you a private message, can't I? I think. No. Does it let me send a private message? No. I have to figure this out. There's got to be a way that you can send a private message. So I would be able to send you a private message to show you the URL that you would have to go to. I add you in as a manager to Nightbot, then you can go in and you can just put any little sayings that you want in there. And you guys are both good. You don't get, you know, carried away with stuff. But one of the things that you don't want to put too much of it if we're a busy channel, right? Obviously, but this is not so busy that you can't have fun. Where is this? What happened? What happened? Where are you going? Oh, I traveled. That's why, because we're going to go pilfer some sheep. But I'll get you added in on their Bounty so that you can go in and make your own little sayings, Kiva too. Because I know that it's fall and times are going to get busy for everybody with stuff. So I'm going to put this out there before it's too far into fall. So let's do this. I have to add your names to it, so I have to figure out how to do that. So I got to get your actual name. And you mess me up with those double R's all the time, Bounty. All right, so I'm going to let her do this before I go and do that. Because otherwise she's got no goods to cook, and there's nothing here anyways. Look at this. All right, so back to camp we go. we'll have to just, or maybe we'll go sit up in the Moonshine Shack while I do this for you and get you added in. Let's get out of here so we can fast travel. I have to bring in these, let's switch that back to here. I need my medium animals, so maybe I'll just do this. Oh, we must have had an interesting battle here just before I showed up. Looking for rabbits. Come on, buddies. Where are you? Go take a muskrat, raccoon, anything. Come on. Where are you? Oh, the sheep are there now. Where are they? Nope, not yet. Those are raspberries. We could take them, but I need some serious little raccoons here to get one of my dailies. It's at point 2, so I gotta do it. Like I was saying, as soon as it's a daily, everything that you need disappears. Make it hard. That means we have to be on here a lot longer, and then they can rank up the number of hours that people play just to get their freaking dailies done, right? That's why I get mad sometimes at them, because, okay, Day of Reckoning bounty. I was telling you, your Day of Reckoning and your Manhunt. Every time you join one of those, it's going to rank your bounty level up higher. You don't have to shoot anything. You don't have to do anything. Yeah. Kiva likes to see my spectacular crashes. I can't find any small medium animals. Like, this is ridiculous. Ridiculous, I tell you. And they do tell you you're not supposed to talk about politics in a channel, but when you have a small group like this, it doesn't hurt too much. But if we see players come along who start political arguments just so that they can stir shit up, you'll meet Nightbot. You get to hang out with Nightbot for a while. I don't even want to stir stuff up. I like to express myself and then I shut up because it's only my opinion, and you know what opinions are worth, right? Are you heading out, Bounty? I'm going to go add you in there, so I'm just trying to get to a safe place here so I could go add you. So we'll just head to Moonshine Shack, then I can do it. I hope you're not gone when I do this. Okay, where is it? It's in Nightbot. So I have to add a user. So let's see if this is going to work. Okay, I hope I have this right. Let's see. Okay, so if I add that one in, let's see if it works. The user not found. I don't know how Nightbot works to add users. I tried to add you as a user. Let's see if I spelled it wrong. Spelled it wrong. Oh, you know, I did the RRACOO. So I put the right name in there, but it wants the YouTube channel URL for the user that you're at. Do you have a YouTube channel URL? See, that's confusing to me. Why can't I do that? And I should be able to go I should be able to add to Nightbot easier than this. That's why I've been having a little bit of trouble with Nightbot, is just figuring out how to add people, and baffled. Search stocks. Okay, I'll look at that and I'll make sure to get you added into that. And Kiva, if you want, let me know. I can add you in as well. Alright, back to the stream. Did I completely lose the stream now that I'm in there? But yeah, it didn't let me add you in there, so I'm going to just keep trying. Channel commands. Song requests, help docs. I want add users. So we're going to fast travel over to... Sorry, we were in the middle of a great conversation And as soon as I realized that I would love to be able to add you guys in, I thought maybe you had to be. Okay, so let's see if we put... Okay. Okay, what if... Yeah, see, it's got my real name when I do that, so that's interesting. It's not Yoda. It's got my real name. So somehow, I don't have... I'll learn about this tonight, because I get obsessive. You may have noticed. If I say I'm going to learn something, I go nuts until I learn it. Meantime, I've lost all the chat. This is the way I get obsessed. Just a little bit. I love learning, though. I love new technology, especially when you're basing it on, like, here we go. So customization somewhere. Maybe it's in here. Let's see if it's in here. I gotta do it. Okay, so here's community. And I've got these added. Approved users. Now, if it's an approved user, I should be able to add bounty, hunter. All right, let's see if it does it.
An instant money transfer service, which is its own application.
Okay, question mark. Comments from these users are automatically published and won't be filtered for block words. Or okay, so I could add Huckfin into here. Okay, there we go. All right, so Huckfin is added in as a user. Okay, so if I go bounty, hunter, raccoon. I'm getting this figured out. Nope, it's raccoon.
What you doing, bro?
Okay, so you're not an actual user under that name, so it won't add into there. Let's try Kiva and see how that works.
What are you doing?
Okay, so I have many different Kivas here. Let's go and see which Kiva. Save. So Huck Finn, you're added in. So if I wanted to put you on where you could, where you could go and be added, you actually have to be an approved user on YouTube. Let's see. So save.
What the hell y'all
That's
doing?
interesting. All right, so now Huckfin has been added in as an approved user. So in the event that we put Nightbot back, it would not do anything to you. I don't think he's still here, but if he comes back, and I do believe he subscribed, so. Because we hit our big 240, guys. It still says it streamed 2 hours ago, so it's still streaming. It's something, it burped, but it didn't end. So Bounty and Kiva, because you guys are, let's see, I'm going to go and look at the image that you have here, if I can. I should be able to blow this up enough. Okay, so if I look at that image, it's really hard to tell. I can tell Bounties is just a bee, so we'll know with that. But Kiva, yours is, I can't tell what that image is. But it's black and white, and it's not words. So there's a Kiva in here that I was looking at to add. Where was that? Nightbot community. There we go. So if I go into YouTube details, let's see, into settings and community. Okay, so Kiva is there. I want to see if I can move that. No, I can't do that. So approved users, and we put Kiva in. That's not it. We need a Kiva. We need a Kiva. Kiva. Let's see if that'll. Oh, that doesn't scroll down. Interesting. So we have like the 4 kivas that we're looking at. Let's do that. No, that's not it. We needed to go down. We just added another kiva and we'll take that out. So who do we have that we can add here? You know who was in here that was talking that ended up getting, a lot of these people ended up getting, like Foreman Grills is still in there, and he'll be on the block list forever. Okay, so then if we go to permissions, let's see. Manage channel settings. Sorry about this, but I am really wanting to learn to do this stuff while you guys are here. But it does seem that it doesn't want to let me put anybody in that's not an approved, like your actual YouTube name. So if you guys wanted to share your YouTube names that you're using, I would be able to actually put you in there. I'm pretty sure anyway. See you in a bit, Huck. Okay. Back in you go. We started this up, but I think we're going to go and oh, we're lagged again. Look at this. Probably because I come to a point and I stop moving way too often. But this is horrible lag. Yeah, we'll have another stream going on. But yeah, it looks like I can't add you guys because when I go to put your names in, oh, Kiva, could it be that you have, I'm looking at, no, that's an I, it's a normal I. I thought maybe it was like that upside down V over top of your I, and maybe I would need to use that to get your proper name. Let's see if I can cut and paste it in. Let's see if we do that. And then when it's looking for, you can ignore me. I will just gently ask you guys not to talk about hunting other people in this stream, because I don't want to attract it, so I don't want to talk about it on here because this is not going to be ever used. I will try and go and remove those messages. Yeah. Hey, Huck, welcome back. I don't want anybody to join this channel thinking that there will ever be a possibility that the people in this channel are either using it to stream snipe or to use this stream as a way to in any way go after other users. So it will be an instant violation and an instant removal from the channel if I see it, because you guys already know how I feel about it. So I know that's not what you were doing. I just thought I would raise it just so we don't ever have that as an issue. Okay, and other talking about those streams will also be removed. So, talk about the stream, talk about what you're doing here, talk about whatever you want, but you don't get to talk about other streams if you're in here. It's different if we are bringing them in here and we're going to go and do, what do they call it, where you, there's a thing that you go and you hop onto somebody else's stream and you bring your whole channel with you and you go and do it and you're being supportive. I'm trying to be careful so that we don't do that and that people don't ever feel like they're in danger of, because I didn't like it, and if I didn't like it, I'm guessing that other people don't either. This is a friendly zone where people don't ever have to worry. Yeah, my brother is having fun with his chickens and his rooster. Oh, there's so much fun farming, I'll tell you.